Hello and welcome to Lynchburg Live. I'm your host, Linda Smith, and tonight is a very special night for me. This is my 100th Lynchburg Live show, so I'm glad you all could join us for that. As we begin the Christmas season, there's a local seasonal event that takes place that draws people in from all over, not just from Lynchburg. It's especially to attend the annual Virginia Christmas Spectacular presented by Thomas Road Baptist Church, and it's just that, it's spectacular. My guest tonight is Lorie Marsh. She's director of the Virginia Christmas Spectacular, and Lorie will be telling us about the event as well as some of the behind-the-scene things that put this wonderful thing together.
All the secrets, Linda.
Thank you for being my guest.
Thank you.
You know, as we get started, and I cannot imagine that there's anybody in this Lynchburg area who is not familiar with the Virginia Christmas Spectacular, but could you kind of tell us, in case there's one or two who don't know what it is?
Well, for those who don't know, it is a Christmas musical spectacular. It's a Christmas musical production. It features a 37-foot tall living Christmas tree with 150,000 lights on that tree, lots of special lighting effects. It's a great light show. It has a cast of about 300 to 350 to 400 people with a choir in the living Christmas tree, a live orchestra, which is wonderful, dancers, actors, and about every Christmas song you'd ever want to hear.
Now, are there two trees?
We have done two trees before. We find that it takes up so much space on the stage. It really does, and it's because we do 9 shows. It's just really exhausting for the choir to be standing up there in that tree, because the production is anywhere from 90 minutes to 2 hours long, and that's a very long time to stand in a very restricted area up there in the tree. So we really like to do one tree whenever we can, and we really prefer that as a music department, so that we can rotate people through, and it just makes it a little bit easier on all those very dedicated choir members who work so hard.
Are they both the same size?
They are. They're both 37 feet tall. They're huge. So that would be 300,000 lights when they're all up there. I know. Sounds pretty dazzling, doesn't it? But they're a very important part of the production, and we really love them. They're a big part of the tradition.
Our producer just asked you, didn't this spectacular start with the living Christmas tree?
Yes. This is the 42nd year.
Oh my.
That Thomas Road has done this living Christmas tree production, and it used to be called the living Christmas tree.
Right.
When they moved from the 701 property address over on Thomas Road to the new facility over at 1 Mountain View Road, the worship center there is so much larger. The stage is, I think it's 110 feet long and 50 feet deep. It's so large, and the room there is so big that they felt like they wanted to add the two trees at that point, and they also changed the name, and you know, they changed it from the Living Christmas Tree to Virginia Christmas Spectacular, and that's actually, I think that was the 2nd year that I came.
Well, anybody who's seen it on television knows that it is definitely a spectacular production. Now, other than entertainment, what's the goal of presenting this production?
Well, it serves several purposes and meets several goals, but I really believe that the goal really is to celebrate the Christmas story and the Christmas season. It's a gift. We see it as a gift that we give to not only the people at our church, but also our community, Lynchburg, and the communities around, and even the states around. We have people that come in, bus in every year, and come in to see one of the productions. So it's really a gift that we give, because Thomas Road really loves Lynchburg. So that's really the main purpose.
Loves Thomas Road. I mean, what Thomas Road has done for Lynchburg is just incredible. And I think if you really sit back and look at the people and the opportunities that they brought into the city, that it really is, that in itself is spectacular.
Yeah. Well, it's truly the heart of the church, and I think we saw that you know, when we had all the power outages with the storm.
Especially.
During the summer, and there were just thousands and thousands of people that Thomas Road you know, gave a home to during those days, and served and fed and took care of their animals, and yeah, it's really true. So the tree is really just a part of that, and we love doing that for our community.
But it's something everybody looks forward to, I think. Where and when is this year's spectacular? Well,
it's at Thomas Road Baptist Church, which is it's 1 Mountain View Road, and it's in the worship center there. And so we use the whole stage. In fact, they tear the choir loft and everything out the last week of October. So we've already put up the tree. We've already started building the set. I know the set is really built during the summertime for the most part. A large part of it is built in a warehouse because we don't have tall enough doorways for them to bring the set to bring the set in. So they build it in pieces, and then bring it in and put it together like a jigsaw puzzle. And then there are some pieces that they build right then there in the worship center, but it's at the worship center. And it's the first 2 weekends of December.
Okay. Do you have prices that we could share with people?
Sure. We have 3 ticket prices because some seats are better than others.
Right.
And so we have $8 seats, $12 seats, and $15 seats.
But that's still such a bargain for being able to see this wonderful show, I think.
Yeah.
What's the theme of this year's production? I've been seeing some commercials on television. Yeah, they're great.
It's a very fun show this year. The story, the title of the show is Yes, Virginia, A Christmas Letter.
Okay.
It's actually adapted from a true story that happened back in 1898 when a little girl, 8-year-old little girl named Virginia, wrote a letter to the editor at the New York Sun newspaper asking the editor to please write an editorial telling her if there was a Santa Claus or not. And he wrote this editorial saying, yes, there is a Santa Claus. Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa. And he was talking about, you know, as long as there is hope and there's love, there will always be a Santa kind of thing. So this story was adapted from that. And in our story, our 8-year-old little Virginia writes a letter to the Chicago Sun newspaper, and she's asking the editor to please write a letter and put it in the Christmas morning edition so that her papa will read that story, because he always, if it says it in the Sun, it must be so. Her papa's always looking for facts, and to him, facts are in the Sun. So, so the editor gives Henry, the reporter from the Sun newspaper, the assignment of writing the story. So Virginia and her newsy friends take Henry to the library, where the librarian, Miss Ellie, helps them research the who, what, when, where, and why of Christmas, so that he can write that story. So that's it's really a fun show this year because we have added something to that original story. Our story is set in 1898, like the original story. So it's all the Victorian era, which is so much fun with the costumes and everything from the Victorian era. But my husband and I were in New York City for our wedding anniversary last March, and we saw the Broadway show Newsies. And we loved it, and it was so much fun, and it was so electric and just so great. And so we got the idea of, since this is set in a newspaper office, our story was, of adding a newsy cast.
That's cool.
So we have a whole newsy cast, and all of our musical numbers are all modeled after those kinds of numbers like are in that musical production, Newsies, that's currently on Broadway right now. So we have a whole cast of newsy characters, and they are a lot of comic relief, and they do wonderful dance numbers with Virginia, and it's a great deal of fun to add them to it. So it's a great story.
Now I know you wear many hats. Tell me what's involved with your job as being director of this huge production.
Yeah. Well, I'm a show director, and what that means is that it's kind of my job to spearhead and keep everything moving forward. We have a tremendous team. We have everything from our executive producer, Charles Billingsley, some of you know of him.
Right.
We have a costume mistress, we have an orchestra director and a musical director who does the choir. We have people that work with the children's choir. We have a choreographer. We have songwriters and arrangers and that actually write the music and write the orchestrations. We have a team that do the recording and create all of the everything that we have a set designer, and we have people that build the set, and all of these people, of course our lighting director John Daggett, and all of the things that he does for the tree, and all the lighting special effects, and all of our sound crew that work with everyone. There's such a huge team of people that are all really, I consider them experts in their field, but somebody has to hold it all together.
And that's you.
That's me. So that my job is to spearhead and kind of collect everybody's ideas, and we come up with the concept, and then it's my job to work with the script writers and work with all those different people to just keep everybody moving forward and communicating with one another, and all working toward those final dress rehearsals and show opening night.
Now, is everybody who's involved in this, the writers, the musicians, is everybody from the church and the school?
Almost.
And actors too?
Yes, yes. To be in the production, you need to be attending Thomas Road, or be a student at LCA, Liberty Christian Academy, right, or Liberty University. So we really do that because one of the other goals of this production is to give a creative outlet to all these talented people from our church community, our church family, and our school. So just about everyone. We sometimes work with a few people outside only for an expertise that they bring to it, but very, very small. I mean, it might just be someone that's helping with a light design or with a set design in some way, or they might build something specific for us. But I'd say 99% of everyone that's involved is from our church and ministry there.
Tell me about how many people you think it takes to put this production together.
Oh, wow. If you add all of the people and the volunteers, I bet it's got to be well over 500. The cast this year, just the dance and drama cast, are around 80 to 85. 40 of those are LU students.
Wonderful.
Yes. But then you've got, you know, all of the people, like I said, that do the set design, gather the props. We have quite a huge and wonderful team of people that do costumes and sew and build the things that we need for props.
I'm going to ask you if the costumes were made outside and brought in? Or
no, they are not. We have, I think, one of the best costume designers in the industry. Her name is Kathy Jordan. She's been here for many, many years in Lynchburg, and I don't even know how many shows she's been responsible for, but she designs our costumes, and she sews them, or she has a wonderful team of people. She has quite a number. We use a great number of volunteers. We really try and plug in as many people as we can, and you have ushers for all those different doors and productions, and there's just a lot of people. But the costumes are phenomenal.
What a terrific talent pool you have.
Oh, yes.
With these, you know, really your own.
Yes.
With the church and the school and,
yes,
and the college. That's wonderful.
It is wonderful. It's wonderful.
I don't want us to run out of time and not show these pictures. Phil, if you'll put the pictures up on the screen, we'll get Lorie to tell us what they are.
Sure. Well, this is a picture of some of our angels in one of the numbers that we did one year. Every year we have angels, and we feature ballet and these beautiful costumes. These are just some of our lovely girls.
And there's always the birth of Christ is always part of the show. We
look for a unique way to tell the most important story, which is Christmas story.
Right.
Everything else is really just to facilitate that. This was a fun number that we did a few years ago, and we had a group of people in an alley. It was called Alley Jam, that particular song, and it was just a rhythmic number, but they were coming out of a restaurant, and they were hitting pots and pans and spoons, and this guy was up on trash cans, walking on the trash cans, and it was
like
a number
stilts,
that,
kind of.
yeah, and it was fashioned after the Stomp numbers, the Stomp group. It was a lot of fun.
This is gorgeous. This is probably my favorite picture of all the pictures you sent.
That just shows you a little bit of the size of the stage and the size of the tree and the wonderful lighting effects that are always a part of the production.
Now, I read in researching this show that some of that star effect is fiber optics.
Yes.
That's cool.
Well, the fiber optics are that's actually a curtain that has tiny little lights sewn into it that we turn on to make it look like a starry night. And that's a star field that we use every year. This was a show we did in 2009 that was set in the 1940s, and this was a group of orphans who were pickpocketing their way through New York City, which gave us an opportunity to visit Maisel's department store. They lived they snuck into the attic and lived up there in Maisel's department store. This is Charles Billingsley one year. See the stars there? You can see them. Yeah, and the New York City behind him. And these were our harmonaires that were singing there with him on that particular number. We always try and incorporate Santa somehow.
Great.
For all those children out there, young and old. Mrs. Claus and Santa. This was a number that we did where we had all these Keystone Cops, and they were trying to capture all those orphan children that were the pickpockets in the city. So we had, I think, 50 cops and a whole bunch of orphan kids running around the stage, and it was one of the production numbers. We do these large production numbers, and they are really just, I think of all of these production numbers as links in a chain. Right. They're all just part of the pieces that all come together to tell the overall story. This was when we used those children to create, as we were telling the Christmas story, and we had Mary and Joseph.
What a theatrical opportunity for kids who are in the college.
Yes.
Who have aspirations of being in theater and
yes.
productions and that
yes.
kind of thing.
We use many, many families too, and lots of silly kind of numbers. Some years we do a Broadway-style musical with the production numbers and the dancers and the singers. Other years we do something that's more of a Radio City Music Hall kind of approach. And we always will tell the Christmas story, and that will always be the heartbeat of what we're doing. But a lot of times we'll do a lot of other special Christmas numbers and productions to have fun and celebrate, to celebrate the season through music. There will always be a live orchestra and the living Christmas tree. This is Kendra Cook Penn. She has been singing "Oh Holy Night" in our production for I don't know how many years.
She does a wonderful job.
She does a wonderful job, and it's something that people look forward to year after year. And we always try and find a new and creative way to have her do this wonderful production. This year she's doing that number, "Oh Holy Night," with a little child solo who's a little child named Isabel Norton who will be singing with her, and we've added all of the children's choir with her. That's and it's going to be a beautiful setting of "Oh Holy Night."
All of the music is original, that's not contemporary, I guess.
It depends. Some years, for instance this year, all of the numbers that we're doing are either our original setting of a known carol. This year has almost every Christmas song you'd ever want to hear in a medley or featured in one way or another. But we have, there are some years where we actually, use someone else's music. But because we have so much talent, we really love to be able to use our own arrangers and writers. That was a very fun number. This is Adam Lancaster. He's our orchestra director at Thomas Road. We have a live orchestra this year of, I think, 34 orchestra members, and they're compiled from not only church members, but some are LCA students, and some are LU students, and some are professors at Liberty University who teach there in the School of Music and the Center for Worship there. Another shot of Adam and some of the orchestra.
I imagine it encourages people who don't think they have talent to come out and give it a try and find out that they do have talent and it's something that they enjoy.
Yes, that's very true, and that's another reason that we do this production, as I said, because it gives our people an opportunity to use those gifts and talents that God has given to them, and they may not have that opportunity anyplace else or any other time during the year, and we just love to give them that opportunity.
Or maybe even not another time in their life.
I know, isn't that true? And if you've been trained in some way and maybe you're no longer in college or you're not in a situation where you have an opportunity to use those gifts and talents, this is a great outlet for that. We have people that come back year after year after year and are part of our cast.
How long does it take to put this production together?
It's really a year-round thing. We start in January by doing an evaluation of the year before, learning what we can, what we'd like to improve on, and there's always things that we're tightening and changing, and things that came up that we just want to try, and it's such a creative group of people.
That's a beautiful picture.
Isn't that a beautiful picture? And in February or so, we start, everybody comes to the table. There are probably about 15 or 20 of us that come to the table with ideas, things that we've seen other people do, or things we'd like to try, or things we've seen on YouTube, all kinds of things, and we just start thinking and praying and considering what we might do, and by March or so, we are pretty settled on what we're going to do, and we start writing our script or start collecting music. By June, we have our songs written, and we usually go to Nashville and record professional musicians doing tracks, and we need that because
that's wonderful. I had no idea you did something like that.
Yes, we do, and we use professional players, and that gives us the music that we learn from. When you actually come to the production, what you hear is our orchestra and our choir and our singers, but they have learned from these other sources that we've given to them. And then we have recently started actually taking our work then and actually publishing it so that other people can use that in their own churches and theaters, and that's what we use that professional recording for also.
Good picture.
I know. We'd love to have children in the production as well.
When do you start rehearsing for this?
We have a kickoff on September 8th, and we start actual rehearsals the beginning of September. So as soon as we have that kickoff, the first Saturday of September, then that second week of September, we're in rehearsals. At this point, we're rehearsing 3 or 4 nights a week and long Saturdays, and next week we'll be rehearsing on the stage every single night. And our first tech rehearsal is the Sunday after Thanksgiving, and then our first show is that Friday, the Friday that's following, so the weekend after Thanksgiving weekend. Great. Yeah.
Now, I read somewhere that there's also a dinner associated with this. It's a buffet, but you don't have to do both. You can do either or both.
No, yes, you can. They started this a couple years ago, and it is so wonderful. I hope more people will find out about it and take advantage of it. We are doing this. It costs $15 and $10 for children, and we've learned some things, and it's improved every year. It's going to be so wonderful this year. It's a full Christmas buffet with a full dessert buffet and a salad bar. It's a lovely atmosphere. It's right there. And we have actually a jazz ensemble, Christmas jazz ensemble, that's going to be giving live music during it. It's a festive, beautiful setting. And we have, people can come and park, and they're there early. They have their meal, and then they can just finish and go right into their seat that's already saved, and it just makes it a very nice evening.
And that's really upscale for Lynchburg. I think it's good to have something like that to look forward to.
Yes.
Now, if someone wishes to see the production and they're unable to go, when will it be televised? Do you know? Is it on Christmas Eve?
I don't know. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I think it's on at different times. In my home, it's on Channel 10, and they show many different productions through the years, and you can see some of the old ones, which are so fun to see. And they show it then, and it's often on the TBN network, I know, and they'll be probably showing it on there. So they'll have to check their local listings, I think.
And people can order DVDs of the production, which is great.
Absolutely. You can order that through the website. You can get tickets and the DVD through at virginiachristmasspectacular.com.
Great. That's great. I have to ask this question because I don't know what a robotic camera is, but when I was reading about all your special effects, robotic cameras came up. Tell us what that is and how they're used.
Well, we have a lot of special lighting, special effects. The cameras that I think you're referring to are actual, they're on a robotic arm, and it comes down and comes over the audience and gets close-ups of what's happening on the stage so that they can show what's happening on close-up form on the big iMag screens, which are the eye magnification, giant big projection screens, so people can get a close-eye view of what's happening. So.
Right. This is going to be a kind of interesting question. If you could sum up what working on this Virginia Spectacular means to you personally, how it affects you personally, what would you say?
I would say that I love to do this because I love Jesus Christ and I love to tell his story. And I'm proud and thankful to be a part of such a tremendously professional, wonderful group of people. And I'm grateful to have the opportunity to work with this wonderful cast, choir, and church to give this gift to the community. Every year it's exhausting. Every year I think, oh my goodness, how are we ever going to get there? But every year when we do get there, it is such a joy to be a part of it, and I'm eternally grateful and humbled to be a part of such a wonderful experience.
You know, I was talking recently with my minister about feeling the music. And I don't think a lot of, well, there's some people who just don't understand that concept, that you can be moved by music. And I think that some of the music in this production has done that to me. You know, it just suddenly it'll move you to tears or make you want to sing. And I think that that's one of the...
I so agree. I think that some people respond and hear truth through music. Some people will hear it through, if we do a drama that year, they'll hear it through something that someone says. But I believe that everybody that attends one of these, God has a message for them. A message of hope, a message of his love, something that will tell them about how much God loves them and why he sent Jesus for them so many years ago, but it's as relevant today as it was back then.
I thank you so much for being on this show. I think it's such a happy, something to look forward to.
Oh, yes.
And I'm so glad to present this on this show.
Thank you,
And
Linda.
it's been such a pleasure meeting you and
Thank
working
you.
with you.
Such a pleasure for me to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I hope you've enjoyed